Am I on? Was that my cue?
You're on.
Hi everybody, and welcome to episode 34 of the GuildMag podcast. I probably should have recognised that cue a bit more easily. Sandra's hosting the stream again because undoubtedly my internet's going to cut out at some point during the stream, as it always does. This week we're talking all about challenging content in Guild Wars 2. Obviously on Tuesday, the first Raid Wing... I can never say that, but Raid Wing being released. And so we're going to talk a little bit about what we're expecting for raids. We're also going to be talking about the Fractal changes that were announced a few days ago. I can't remember quite when.
Friday, it looks like.
That I know a lot of people are happy about. Mm-hmm. And we're just going to generally be talking about stuff like that. So it's going to be a relaxed show. We don't have any massive agenda, so we're just going to go for it. So before we do all that, as always, we're going to kick off with the news. So Gem Store news. This is Regalia outfit and Gathering Flutes in the Gem Store. This is Regalia outfit I actually did quite like the look of. Yeah, surprisingly. I mean, even on Char, it's not terrible.
Here's the thing about outfits. They all look pretty good. I mean, some of them are garbage, but they all look pretty good. Mm-hmm. The problem with them is you look the same as everyone else. I don't like using them because
switch up your dye scheme, man.
You still look identical though, even if you switch up the dye scheme.
You can still personalize it.
They're so lazy. I don't know. I'm not big on outfits. I use like one outfit on my Char because Char armor is hard.
Well, yeah.
I agree. Char armor is very difficult.
What always scares me about like the outfits, we know when you've got the helm showing on the Char, is that their heads look even more massively huge than normal. It's a bit.
Well, I don't show my.
It looks really out of proportion.
Yeah, I don't show my helm on like any character at all. Mm-hmm. I use the Balthazar outfit on my Char because Molten Tail. I have to do it.
Right.
Yeah. In addition to that, we've also got a 20% off sale in the Gem Store until next Friday, I think. And I think there's loads of stuff just on sale, so go and check it out. There's some cool stuff. Loads of armor skins, it's just basically all skins and outfits and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think the plush Quaggan and Char are on sale. If I remember correctly.
The fuzzy hats are on sale.
Well then, that's. I might have
that is a whole load of snooze right there.
The one that I might actually consider getting this time around is the Jabotron backpack, because I find his dialogue a bit amusing whenever you're killing or doing anything.
Yeah, I find it head bashingly annoying.
Well, I don't. Maybe it's because I don't have it, but I know like maybe one person that has it, and every once in a while I'll just run across somebody who's.
I don't have it. It infuriates me when I run across someone that does.
You're so bitter. Why are you so bitter?
You're very easily annoyed by things.
Jabotron is the worst. I hate him.
He's all right.
That's it for the Gemstone news. In community news this week, Secret Toymaker is back for Winter's Day. This was on Reddit yesterday, the day before, maybe earlier. I can't quite remember.
They stick it on the first page on Reddit.
Yeah. So this is basically an in-game Secret Santa. Not much else to say about it. There is a website, secrettoymaker.com, if you want to check it out and be part of it. Mm-hmm. And sign up closes in 29 days and 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. So yeah, go and check it out, and maybe you can get something cool for Winter's Day off a complete stranger.
Way to bring it down. Make it sound all creepy.
Well.
In game news this week, obviously the raid opens on Tuesday. So to anyone tackling it, good luck to you. We are going to be attempting to tackle it. More about that a little bit later on, I guess, when we talk about raids. The actual rewards that are going to be, there was a blog post talking about the rewards in raids this week. And there's a screenshot of one of the, I think it's the Great Sword at the top of the blog post that I'm assuming you'll get from the raid. And something that confused Sandra. Do you want to tell them?
Well, I was a bit annoyed because they captioned the one with the great sword, like, your journey to legendary armor begins, and the armor is, I think it's a hodgepodge is what you guys told me, of different existing skins, and I was thinking, God, that's ugly. When I first saw it, I was like, if that's legendary armor, I will never go for that. And of course, I went and complained to my my GuildMag buddies, and they were like, "No, Sandra, you're wrong. That's existing." And I'm like, "Well, then why is it captioned that way? Because that's misleading."
I do agree. It's a bit, especially since it's the only picture people have to go on of, like, here's all the epic rewards you can get from the raid. It's a bit thanks kind of moment. But I think the actual rewards in the raid will be really cool. I am actually looking forward to seeing what the legendary armor will look like.
I hope it's
I hope I hate it.
Is that your
I don't want to have to go get it.
Well, the new armor skins that came in with Heart of Thorns are quite nice. So I'm hoping that they're going to just continue this trend.
They're okay.
And
some of them are trash, but most of them are nice.
That's always the thing with armor.
What I'm really hoping is that the legendary armor isn't too flashy to because the actual legendary weapons are quite flashy and meant to be noticed, and I feel like a legendary armor shouldn't take away from the weapons. I like what they do with the legendary backpack in that it's cool, but it's not like all particle effects and everything.
It's so infuriating that most MMO players consider looking good in the game as having as many particle effects and shiny lights on you as humanly possible.
Well, that's what I consider looking good.
I don't. I always try to make myself some nice subtle outfits. I have some characters where I want to be flashy like that, but I have other characters where I don't. And so many people just don't appreciate a nice, well put together, subtle look, and it's sad.
I think it's difficult because most people are just looking out for the big, flashy particles. And
and those are the ones that turn my head in game.
I mean, for me, it was when I first started playing Guild Wars. Now, like, the first people with legendaries started popping up with like all the particle effects and everything. I was like, oh my god. Which is what I don't know. That's what I imagine most people are like.
I was setting up. I was fiddling with armor pieces for what I want my Revenant to look like earlier this week, and I came up with an outfit that I really liked, and it was like super basic and low key, and all my guild was giving me crap for it because they were like, that looks awful. There's no shinies or anything, and I was like, you don't understand the beauty
just like
that
a
I've
pack
created.
of script, really.
Yeah,
that's the player base.
It's the worst.
Honestly, the looks don't even matter that much to me about the legendary armor. It's what I'm most excited about is being able to swap the stats on it, and just being able to have a whole set of like legendary armor, backpack, and weapons. I can just swap stats out whenever I want.
Right.
Yeah, that'll be super nice. Since I already have, like, on my Guardian, for example, since I already have all legendary weapons, having the armor to complete that, and having a whole stat swappable set. Obviously, we still need legendary trinkets and stuff like that, but if I could get the back piece and the armor and the weapons, that would be really handy.
I completely agree. Especially with raids and fractals needing different kind of builds for people now, rather than just Circa, which I think a large percentage of people still are, I'm assuming. I know I am. I'm still fully Zerker.
Heart of Thorns is still perfectly Zerker savvy, so
yeah,
I don't think nearly as many people made the switch as people thought they were going to.
Right.
In other news then, so damage and enemy type restrictions in raids. So this was a post, I think, was it last weekend? Like quite early this week. Basically about some kind of runes and sigils for raids that do like you deal extra damage for a type of enemy. Those will be disabled in raids. I'm not too bothered about that, really. I think...
Well, because the raid's obviously going to be super focused as far as enemy types. There's probably going to be bandits and Mordrum. That's probably going to be 90% of the enemies. And they just want to limit... I don't know. I don't think there's much point in limiting it since it's only like a 10% damage boost. I don't think that really... It'll speed up the process a bit.
I think in terms of balancing the raid, especially with the Veil Guardian with the enrage timer, I think if you balance it around people, assuming people have these extra damage versus
Then
whatever,
they'll have to
potions
take
and
those.
then it's like you have to take it. And
What I'm curious about is, does this include the Sigil of Night? Because that gives 10% damage boost at nighttime, and I think the raid is set in nighttime.
I don't think it would. I think it's just...
It seemed like the way they said it was just going to be around enemy types.
Because night is a really popular sigil for dungeons, because a lot of dungeons are at night, and it gives you that 10% damage boost. And across the board for a party, a 10-man party, that's a pretty big damage boost party-wide.
Yeah, I mean, it's something to think about, I guess. Oh, here we go. I've just found a post down. So Sigil of Night, this will not have any benefit. So no, that's disabled.
Oh, okay.
Costume Brawl, Pet Summons will be disabled. Sigil of percent damage versus monsters will be... Well, they won't be disabled, they just won't have the benefit, so I'm assuming you'll still be able to bring them in, but you just won't get the benefit from them. Pet consumables, so Ogre Pet Whistle, Fire, Elemental Powder will be disabled, so you can't summon in extra whatever.
See, when they start putting this many restrictions on things that are in the game, in this game type, it just... I don't know, it makes it feel diluted to me, because it's like, oh yeah, all those things that you can do in the game, you can't do those here. Yeah,
but it feels like at the same time, it's like that they're wanting players to be able to beat the content or attempt the content based on their own skills rather than having these kind of like, in a way, I don't want to say cheater methods, but they're kind of...
I know, but they're in the game. Basically, they're saying, all these things we put in the game that makes it way too easy. Yeah, but you can't use those.
I think the whole point of raids is to be really focused on, like Sandra's saying, your own skill as a player. I'm completely for this. Like, as someone who's going to be raiding, I've got no problem with not being able to take like Sigil of Night and extra damage versus monster types.
I don't know. I kind of like the idea of players using the resources at their disposal.
I mean, I can see where you're coming from, but I also think it's mostly just a balance thing, like trying to balance around all these. If they balance assuming you have these, then you basically have to have them. Otherwise, you're making it harder for yourself. And if they balance assuming you don't have them, then it could trivialize the content for people to do.
I think what this is a case of is they made an easy game that they now have to make hard, so they have to put a lot of arbitrary restrictions in place.
I might.
Guild Wars 2 is an easy game.
Yeah. I agree. It's a pretty easy game. I mean, we'll see how this plays out. But as for me, I'm not.
I don't think it's going to make as much of a difference as maybe it seems right now.
No.
No.
All right then. So, in addition to that, there is a fix for the map completion rewards bug planned for Tuesday's patch. So, good news if that's been affecting you. I know it's affected a couple of people on our team. And yeah, that's it for the news. So, let's get into the main discussion for this episode, which is all about the various challenging content in Heart of Thorns and what we're expecting of raids, that kind of stuff. So, would you like to kick us off, Sandra, with something you would know? She doesn't know what I'm.
No, because I was busy paying attention to Twitch chat. Sorry.
I'll kick us off then. So something I didn't even know existed until last week, I think, was that there's an extreme mode of the final story step.
Oh, yes. I haven't seen it yet.
Which Sandra brought to my attention. So do you want to talk a little bit?
I have not participated in this hard mode or extreme mode, challenge mode. I mean, it kind of goes on with the whole replayability of the story steps if you want to go after the achievement points, but you can activate, I guess, challenge mode. So there were people that were partying up. I don't know how successful or what people were finding about it, but I think it's an interesting way to continue making the content replayable. One, and I think my question was: is this an optional new way to have a final dungeon replayable in a kind of story mode type? I mean, because if you think about what happened with a raw dungeon, and a lot of times story mode, from the sense that I got from talking to different players, is a raw story was largely ignored because why would you replay that horrid story? Just do the paths. So is this a better way to make the story step replayable by having these challenge modes and having people, trying to incentivize people to play?
Yeah, I think so, because it comes with achievements and stuff, and it changes the gameplay significantly. And it encourages group gameplay. So I think those are all positive things to encourage replayability.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a post on Reddit right now of an engineer soloing it. I haven't actually watched the video.
Yeah.
Of course there is.
Yeah, I haven't watched the video either.
I can solo it, therefore this content is trivial. Reddit.
I don't know that it's making it seem trivial, or as, here's what I was able to do. Is it difficult? Because you can still show off that content is difficult, even if you're able to solo it. It could speak to your own play style and play skill.
Yeah, no, I agree. So hopefully, I would like to check it out. I might try and do it before our next show and kind of give some thoughts on it. But yeah, there's not really much we can say about that. But we just thought we'd bring it up, I guess.
Yeah.
So,
Go ahead.
Did you want to say anything?
Nope. Go on.
Okay. So moving on then to the Fractal changes. I don't think they've announced when they're going to be changed. But this was a post Gail Gray put up on behalf of John Corpening and somebody else that I can't quite remember. I think I have it here. No, I don't. I lied. Basically talking about changes that are going to be coming to Fractals, because at the moment they're a little bit underwhelming and a bit annoying for some people. So have you guys done Fractals since Heart of Thorns?
I have not.
I've done one. I did a Moss Man. It took like 2 minutes.
Excellent. So you're talking of a position of experience then.
Yes.
So currently, fractals, each fractal, as you go up a level, bosses, well, not just bosses, all enemies gain toughness. So around about fractal level 60, if you're just going full Zerker, there's like a significant damage decrease, and condition damage takes over in terms of overall best DPS. So a lot of people were annoyed that at higher level fractals, you basically replaced the Zerker meta with a condition damage meta.
It was like a Sinister meta, yeah.
Yeah, basically.
Or a Rabbit meta.
And that's not dealing with the inherent problem of one thing just being best. And so what they're doing now is they're changing it so that until level 50, enemies will continue to scale with toughness to, add to help increase the difficulty, but beyond 50 they won't scale with toughness. They won't continue to scale, basically, so that the Zerker build will still be as viable as condition damage.
Yeah, I'd say increasing the health pool is a better way to go than increasing the toughness, as far as the scaling goes, in my opinion. I mean, I'm pretty sure they scale with health also, but I think the toughness was a bit overkill.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it was definitely probably an oversight on their part, trying to essentially just replace one meta with another. I honestly think we're all agreed is what's really needed is just encounters that just require more than how fast can you kill it.
Right.
Yep.
And we talked about this a bit last week when we talked about the final story step encounter, and how unresponsive it was to builds that were built around more tough, or that were tankier. So.
Oh man, that I won't get started.
Yeah, but I mean,
go watch last week's episode.
Yeah, but I I don't know. I've never worked on a game, so I can imagine that balancing a game against different situations and builds is going to be difficult. But is this a good thing that DPS is still going to be? I don't know. My worry is that DPS over 50, over Fractal's level 50, will just be the thing.
Well, I mean, it's like traditionally it always has been the thing.
It's still the thing, even with the toughness. It's just conditioned DPS versus raw DPS.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, we've had the discussions loads of times, and even outside the podcast as well. Is that the faster you kill it, the less damage you take as a group, and it's the best defense in Guild Wars 2 is, well, there's two. There's killing it, and then is dodging, which makes you essentially invulnerable for whatever amount of time a dodge roll takes.
And people, from what I understand, high-level Fractal groups don't usually run 5 Zerkers. They usually bring 4 plus a support character, or 3 plus 2 support characters. I know classes like Guardians and actually Necros are really nice in the support role. Necros can do some really cool things with wells for Fractal groups. And so there's support definitely has a role. It's just a much smaller role than DPS in the Fractal meta.
Yeah, I mean, before all the Fractal, like Heartthorns came out and all the Fractal changes, it was a case if you were running like a level 50 Fractal, you may as well just be all 5 Zerker, because it's just the easiest way to do it, because at that point the enemies hit so hard that really no matter how tanky you are, if you don't dodge like certain things, you'll just die anyway. So you may as well just be full Zerker. With Fractal changes now, I haven't actually played beyond 50 yet, so I can't comment on if that's still the case or not. Hopefully I'll be able to soon. But yeah, that was always like the biggest problem with the highest level of Fractals, is that no matter how tanky you got, certain abilities would just one hit you anyway, or if not one hit, then at least 2 or 3 hit you.
And that's why they should really, as they scale enemy damage up, if they want to incentivize armor, they should scale, as they scale the damage that the enemies deal up, they should also scale your armor effectiveness higher with how high your armor rating is. So at a level 75 Fractal, 3,000 armor might be sufficient to, take some hits. But at a level 90 Fractal, you might want to have 3,500 or 3,800 armor, and otherwise those same hits are going to be devastating you with your 3,000 armor.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, because they already do that with Agony Resist right now, and they even display in Fractals now the recommended Agony Resist for that particular Fractal.
And it wouldn't force anyone into toughness builds either, because people have already proven they can survive perfectly well without toughness. So it would just open it up as an option.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool. So other changes that they're bringing to Fractals then are they're looking to increase the Ascended gear drop rates from the Fractal dailies, and the high levels will be geared towards rewarding more Ascended armor. So this is a welcome change. This kind of combines in with them wanting to increase the rewards overall. So you'll be getting more Fractal encryption keys from the dailies as well, and they're also looking to increase the amount of rewards. Liquid. I can't speak tonight.
It's all right.
Liquid rewards and just general gold that you get from the Fractals. And for anyone who doesn't know what liquid rewards are, they're basically just rewards that essentially just all end up as gold. So it's things like materials and stuff that you can just sell for gold, stuff like that. So yeah, overall they're just looking to make Fractals much more rewarding, and hopefully kind of a profitable thing to actually run, and replace kind of what people used to do with dungeons, because at the moment they're not particularly fruitful.
And then they weren't before, because the liquid rewards out of dungeons was better for the amount of time that it took.
Yeah, exactly.
And there was still incentive to run high level Fractals, and you could still pull good amounts of money out of it. But yeah, dungeons were better, and Silver Wastes were even better than dungeons near the end there. And now I think another reason they're increasing these Ascended drop rates is because they want to put more Ascended armor into the community because people are really annoyed about the increased resources you need to craft Ascended armor now. And so if they push that those armor sets in the community more, they'll see less complaint because those people who need those extra sets of armor will be getting them.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And the thing that's annoyed me at the moment about Fractals is the encryption boxes that the keys open. It's if you want to buy the keys, it costs like 1 gold per key, I think, and you don't get like 1 gold returned from opening a box. I don't think tier 6 mats can drop from those boxes, if I remember properly.
They're pretty bog standard. Like they're the type of stuff that you would have just gotten as drops before. That comes from those. So I opened a couple of them.
Yeah, so that was one of the issues I had. Was you get it's kind of like Black Lion chests. You get a load of the chests and then very few of the keys.
Yeah.
So they're swapping that on its head for Fractal for this update. So you get many more keys for doing the dailies.
And then the keys that are for sale for the gold function the same way as the gem store, except instead of incentivizing you to make ArenaNet money, they're incentivizing you to indulge in a gold sink and even out the economy.
Yeah. No, yeah. And so another reward is XP that are looking to add to Fractals at the moment. So most of this week I've been doing Fractals to try and get my personal level up a bit and just kind of get used to the new Fractal system and attempt to make a start on the backpack before realizing no, don't even go there yet.
Right.
Because there's a whole load of issues with that as well. And I was doing Fractals. I must have done about 20 to 30 Fractals over the course of this week, and I didn't even level up the tier 1 of my Pack Commander Mastery doing that.
That's pretty terrible.
XP sucks in Fractals at the moment. It really, really sucks. And so they're looking to add additional XP to the end boss chests for each Fractal to hopefully help with that problem. It was something that really got to me because I was like, yeah, I can do Fractals and I'll get to level up at the same time. And then when I didn't, I was just like, oh. Yeah. And it was kind of making me choose between, do I do more Fractals or do I go and just grind?
Yeah, don't do Fractals.
Well, it's like the thing with the whole gaining mastery experience. This is one of the chief complaints that I keep seeing is that if you go into the Heart of Thorns maps and you want to level up your experience over there, doing the meta event chains is not as rewarding in terms of XP, which seems counterintuitive. You should be getting rewarded for participating in getting the meta in the map progressed. So I hope that they will take a look at that as well. But
yeah, so this was something we were going to bring up then, is the diminishing rewards that people are experiencing in Heart of Thorns maps. So the Heart of Thorns maps metas, like the Dragon Stand, are basically designed to be 2 hours long, and it's not expected, but generally people will stay for the whole 2 hours and will go down a specific route and do the metas and the chains and whatnot for that map. And the problem is, if you stick with a specific event chain for kind of half an hour or longer, the XP you get per event will start to decrease and diminishing rewards will start to kick in. And so people have been finding in Verdant Brink that after 30 minutes they'll start getting kind of around 18,000 and below XP for an event, which is really low when you consider
when you consider like tier 3 mastery and above leveling up.
Yeah. So hopefully this is a bug rather than something intentional, because it's kind of completely counterintuitive to everything else in Heart of Thorns and everything in the map.
Well, the masteries are supposed to be tough to level up, but yeah, I think the meta, at least maybe not the event reward, the individual event rewards could stay the same, but I think there should be a bigger XP payoff once you've completed the participation in the entire meta event.
Yeah, no,
because there's a big one now, but I don't feel like it's big enough for the time.
Yeah, it's. No, I agree. I've got nothing else to add to that. yeah, it's just something that's really, I suppose, disappointing for people who are trying to grind their masteries, and you realise that you're getting way less than you should be for sticking so long with the meta and trying to progress it. And so in addition to that, then there's issues with the participation removal in Heart of Thorns maps. If you kind of disconnect or you volunteer to move to a higher population map because yours has become too low, and essentially your participation, if you disconnect or volunteer, will be reset to 0. So if you're on, and it's happened to me, I've been on 200% and then I've had a client crash, disconnected, come back, and I'm back down to 0 again, and it's really demotivating. And hopefully this is something they can address as well, because like the diminishing returns, it's just completely against everything that they're trying to do in these maps. So yeah,
I don't know.
hopefully they get sorted soonish.
I honestly haven't even started learning the meta events in the maps yet. I want to get map completion on all the maps before I start really farming the meta events.
Yeah,
and map completion is it's difficult in Heart of Thorns, so that'll be a while.
Yeah.
Come back to us in a few months.
I know. I haven't completed the maps either. I haven't actually this week. I don't think I touched the Heart of Maps except for yesterday when I went into Tangled Depths and got a new pet. I got the smoke scale, which was nice. But other than that, I've just been working on getting my Reaper spec'd, which happened. Yay. And
yay.
Yeah, I just really haven't had a great chance to log in and just run around and do things. So I've just been more in Corteria and kind of leveling over there as well. But it's yeah, the whole XP boosting and getting the masteries leveled up. I think it's a challenge in both sides or all sides of the game, or in the PvE game. So I hope that they do make some adjustments, so that you can feel like you're being rewarded for your work.
Yeah, I mean, I know at the moment a lot of people are farming COF for XP for core Corteria masteries. It's kind of a shame to see it being done that way, because the whole idea of the mastery system was go out in the world and like get rewarded for doing stuff in.
I haven't done it. I'm not going to. I just want them to kind of come to me.
Yeah, no, I agree. So yeah, hopefully we see a change with those soon, like we're seeing with Fractals. It seems that ArenaNet are being like really responsive to what players, the feedback they're being given.
Yeah.
So I'm not too worried about it being an issue for much longer, I don't think. So we'll just have to wait and see. So moving on to raids then, which are the big thing that everyone's excited. Well, I imagine most people, not everyone, most people are excited about.
You ready to raid?
Tuesday. I am totally ready to raid. Well, I'm nearly ready. So one thing that you want to talk about then is what kind of story a raid's going to continue.
Yeah, this came up on in a Twitter conversation earlier this week on Shaman's Twitter. Are the raids going to continue the main story, or are they going to focus on side stories? I think I would personally like to see them continue side stories.
I agree.
Rather than have, put in main story into raids and then have the majority of the community not access it.
Guild Wars 2 needs more side stories in its gameplay. Like, dynamic events instead of traditional quests are so counterintuitive to having rich side story lore. And if they're not going to put traditional quests in the game, raiding, dungeons, and fractals are going to be one of their few mediums to tell good side stories. And I really want the raid to be pertinent to the world and the lore, but be its own story and kind of branch off and diverge from where the plot is currently headed.
Yeah, no, I don't think they will be the main part of the main story. I think it will be a side story, but I think it'll be a side story that has a lot of impact on the lore of the game. Like, it's not it won't be just like a trivial side quest. It'll be something that's, how do I explain it? Like a primary side quest, if that makes sense, rather than just some like other thing that's like collect.
It won't be
of these.
Yeah, it won't be a side quest in the sense that the story begins and ends in this raid. It won't tell a complete story. I think it'll set up a storyline or continue a storyline. I think it's going to be setting up a storyline because from what we've seen, it's probably going to revolve around the bandits that went missing from the Silverwaste.
Right.
And while they introduced that and they hinted at it all throughout the Silverwaste, there's actually no real story that goes into it. And so I think this is them finally touching on that, which honestly interests me way more than the main story of Heart of Thorns. So I'm kind of excited.
Yeah, it's going to be really good. The pretense for you going into the raid that we got from the beta weekend was that a group of packed soldiers have gone missing, and it's your job to go and find out what's happened to them. And I imagine they'll work in, if they're doing the bandit thing, they'll work that in.
Well, there was some of the dialogue had been data mined. And it had made reference to the exalted beacons and some very powerful magic that was being encountered, and that could wipe out an entire group. So how they're going to work this in, are they going to set it up so that, I mean, if they set it up in such a way that it's like a primary side quest, how are they going to, for people who don't play raids or don't choose to play raids, how will they work the story from that primary side quest back in so that you're still getting the information from somewhere in the game world, not having to rely on external.
It's like we said when we talked about this last time. The easiest way to do this and the way to make the most sense would just be to have an easy story mode that doesn't have any of the great rewards. It might have like a 50 silver reward at the end, like Dungeon Story mode did, but just do an easy mode for people who want to know the story. Right. It won't hurt anything, but they haven't said anything about plans to do that, so I don't think we'll get that, which is kind of a shame. Because people who don't want to play the raid, or who don't have that many people in their circle in game, because pugging the raid is going to be a nightmare, at least for the first few months. They're gonna be a little hurt by it, and they're not gonna like it.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I agree. I honestly think pugging for quite a while will not even be possible for these raids.
It will be at some point, but not for a few months, I don't think.
I think, yeah, I mean, I think for the pugs to work in raids, there has to become a consent. What am I trying to say? Like a meta for how to do the raid, and anyone doing it, like a pug, will just follow.
But that's the thing about MMO raids, though, is since they have to make these fights in a certain way so that huge groups of people will be able to do them, and that results in a very structured fight all of the time, which is why MMO raids tend to be kind of predictable, and it's a fight on rails that you learn. And once everybody learns the whole thing, you can just pug the raid, and that's going to happen. It happens in every single MMO, and it's going to happen in this one.
I don't know, because I've never raided.
Yeah,
so I mean, from the stories it's all new to me, and from all the stories that I've heard from experienced raiders, they'll go in and pug, but still the optimal way to go in is to have a preformed group.
Absolutely, and that's always going to be the case. But the fact is that raids in MMOs simply aren't hard in the true sense of the word. They just need to be learned, and once they're learned, it's the same every single time, and you get better and better at it until you could do it in your sleep. Yeah,
I completely agree with that. So moving on from that, then, what are kind of our hope and expectations for the raid? I've talked about this a lot throughout the last year, realistically, whenever someone's mentioned raids. So it'd be interesting to hear what you guys think as people who probably haven't talked about it on this podcast before, I don't think. So, Sandra, let's start with you as the raid.
I want to be challenged. I think my hope is that I'll be challenged in such a way that that I will feel like I'm becoming a better player. One of the things that I mentioned to somebody recently was that it's only been within the past year or so that I have felt more comfortable in glass cannon style builds. And I find myself when I'm out going to characters that are not glass cannon going, something feels off, and starting to change things around. So I kind of want to be able to just continue learning and growing as a player. I'm not a hardcore, player by any stretch, but I still want to feel as if I am making progress and becoming better, rather than, logging into a game and instead of feeling challenged, feeling like I'm falling asleep.
Just for the record, are most people going to be able to learn the raid like the back of their hand and pug it? No, they're not. Most people aren't going to do that. Most people are going to need a coordinated raid group to do this. But there will be that group of elite players that just learns this raid, and that's what they do. And that's why I'm just saying it's not hard in the sense that you'll need to really... Because it's all going to be... Because raid bosses and MMOs are pre-programmed. They're going to have phases, and they're going to do this at this phase, and it's going to be completely predictable, and you're going to know exactly what's going to happen. And that just... It doesn't appeal to me a lot. And that's why raids aren't really going to be my biggest thing. I'm going to do them because I'll probably want the legendary armor in some capacity. But I'm not going to be a hardcore raider by any stretch of the imagination, because I find it to be content that gets boring really quickly.
I think that's... So the thing I enjoy about raids isn't necessarily the content. Well, it kind of is. But it's also... So first of all, I enjoy the initial challenge of learning a new raid. I think, especially in Guild Wars 2, it's something I'm really looking forward to. But I also enjoy just... When you're in a static raid group that comes together every week to clear the content, it's kind of... That aspect of it is quite enjoyable as well. Feeling like you're kind of progressing as a group of people and all working towards kind of the same goal. So that's the reason I quite like raids. I'm not a fan of pugging raids. I think whenever I've pugged a raid in the past, it's just been really boring. And it's there's always the thing about pugging raids. There's always the danger of that one person that just doesn't have a clue what they're doing, and then everyone gets frustrated, and it just doesn't. It's just not a nice experience.
Raid pugging definitely results in some very toxic behavior, just due to frustration.
Yeah,
it's not something I would ever engage in by any stretch of the imagination. But there will be, I think, a community will develop around it, just like there's a community that develops around pugging dungeons. Just that's on a much easier difficulty scale.
Yeah, I completely agree. So, in terms of kind of talking about meta groups and the kind of things needed for raids, what are your thoughts on requiring specific professions or things to be able to clear the content?
Yeah, well, here's the thing about that. They're not going to be able to require specific professions ever. Like, there's... Just because there's nothing... Unless they... The only way they could do that is requiring you to activate a specific skill in a specific spot. But they will require specific loadouts, basically, to do stuff. Like, you might need a healer for some fight, or you might need someone who's pumps out a lot of boons. You might need someone pumping out protection specifically at some point, stuff like that. And that's where certain professions shine over others. So in a way, you could say they are requiring it, but I'm sure that I don't think that'll matter too much, because if the game doesn't require it, the players will always figure out what the best way to do it is, no matter what the game mechanics want. And so there will always be requirements in the community, in the raiding community, just because they'll figure out the best way, and that's the way that will become the meta.
Yeah, because I mean, we know at the moment that the first Veil Guardian requires condition damage dealers to be able to clear it from the beta weekend. And I think all the group, am I remembering properly, the groups that cleared it all had the druid in it as well. I can't quite remember on that.
At least, yes. Yeah,
so
druid,
there's kind of a sense there already that if you don't have a specific condition damage profession for your raid, you won't be able to clear it. Because at the moment, engineers are one of the best condition damage people for raiding because of the utility they bring as well as the DPS.
I believe right now Sinister Engie is like the highest DPS build in the game.
Yeah. So it's at the moment it's kind of that sense. So this is an interesting point to bring in because at the moment, GuildMag is recruiting raiders for some raid groups, and one of our groups is focused on being at the more hardcore end of the spectrum for like pure progression as fast as we can. So we're min-maxing as much as possible for that raid group, and we're struggling to find condition damage dealers at the moment. And particularly condition damage NGs because we're trying to min-max as much as possible to maximize our chances being able to kill it as quickly as possible. And this is something kind of new for us for Guild Wars 2 because you've never before needed to... It's almost like a traditional MMO where we're seeking a specific profession and a specific player who plays that profession. So it's kind of already traditional things that are happening in MMO are creeping in to Guild Wars 2 through raiding. It's kind of like we're essentially at the same spot of looking for a healer to be able to go kind of thing, except looking for condition damage, whatever, to be able to go. So I think it's interesting. I mean, like you said, you'll never be able to require a specific profession, but depending on the group... Basically,
the game won't require it, but the players will.
Yeah, and I think that's what we're doing at least at the moment, anyway.
And I honestly think complaining, like the people that complain about it, the complaining is useless because the players are always going to develop a specific meta. It's absolutely unavoidable. So there's no point in blaming ArenaNet for it.
Right.
Yeah. No, I agree. And so to build on that then, just for anyone who was listening, we are still looking for people for our raid groups. If you are interested, then I guess send a message to me anywhere. So where can I be found? I'm on Twitter at ValiantGW. If you're watching this live and you may be interested, you can message me there or message me in-game. I don't know what my account name is, so that might be an issue.
Or just email valiant@guildmag.com.
Yeah, or just email valiant@guildmag.com. There's still loads of spaces left. We've got 2 raid groups, a second group for people who haven't maybe raided before or who want a more casual approach. We are on the NA servers, both these raid groups, even though most people in Group 1 are European players. We are on NA, raiding in European evening times, so that's been a sticking point as well, trying to find people on NA who raid in the EU time. So yeah, give us a message if you're interested. And aside from that, do we have anything else we want to mention about raids?
Chat's mentioned that Sandra has her cursor over your face.
I fixed it. Sorry, guys.
Oh, how dare you.
I'm sorry.
They caught you red-handed.
Yep, I already moved it. Sorry about that.
So yeah,
I don't know. Raids just probably won't be my main squeeze in game, but I might indulge. Hopefully, once a week is how often I'd like to.
There you go then. I think it does cater to. Hopefully, it will cater to more people than. So we're trying this thing out with 2 different groups of 2 completely different approaches to raiding, like the hardcore and the. I don't like calling them hardcore and casual, but that's the easiest way to categorize.
The training wheels group.
Yeah, there you go. And hopefully we'll find that it appeals to both sets of players. Hopefully the hardcore group finds it engaging and challenging enough for them, because it's mostly consists of people who have been high-end raiders in other MMOs. And at the same time, hopefully the more casual group don't find it kind of overwhelmingly difficult and something that just completely puts them off raiding forever. Because I mean, if people like you, Sandra, who've never raided before, if this has the ability to either make you fall in love with raids or just hate it completely and never want to touch a raid ever again.
I'm hoping that it will be that kind of extreme kind of reaction. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At the moment, pugging is that reaction for me, or world versus world, is that reaction for me. So I'm kind of hoping that it'll be content that I will enjoy, even if it's just like what Aaron was saying on a once a week type thing. And then if I want to get more invested in it, that I can.
Yeah, I mean, so Clickshade in chat says it's mostly for hardcore. That's what ArenaNet said, and that's true. They've said it's not for your I don't want to say average player because I imagine the average player would be able to tackle it. It's not for your, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know a word that's not going to offend a whole group of people.
Yeah.
So maybe I just won't say anything. It wouldn't be for everyone, basically.
Well, and here's the thing about that though, is we really will never know. I mean, we never know until it comes out, because ArenaNet says that because that's what they want for the content, but what the developer wants for the content is not always what happens with the content, because no matter how smart the developer is about creating their content and streamlining it specifically for a specific demographic, the players will always be smarter than the developers when it comes to learning the game. And so no matter how hard ArenaNet thinks it is, it's not going to be that hard for the community given some time. Because ArenaNet only has so much time to test the content. The player base has however long. So 6 months down the road, this could be a walk in the park. It probably won't be, but it could be.
Yeah. I think it's just a case of wait and see. Hopefully by next week's episode, GuildMag Group 1 raid group will have done a bit of raiding, and I'll be able to give some actual insight onto what I think the raid is like. So yeah, it's just a case of wait and see for this week, I think. I'm really looking forward to it. I honestly can't wait for Tuesday.
Do we have I don't remember if you said anything. Do we have a raid stream planned?
So we won't be streaming for the first few weeks while we're figuring out the tactics. But after that, hopefully we will be streaming quite regularly and being able to share tactics with everyone and help out where we can. But yeah, for the first couple of weeks, we won't be streaming while we figure it out, and because it's a new group as well, so it's likely that some players will be removed from the group and other players will be brought in throughout the next few weeks as we kind of figure out what works for everyone.
So Rowan
is a taskmaster when it comes to groups. He will kick you out so fast.
So you said that you still have slots available in Group 1, so what kind of makeup have you put together for Group 1 so far?
Yeah, so actually that's a good point I didn't bring up. So for Group 1, we have 3 slots left. We're specifically looking for 1 Berserker heavy armor wearer. So whether you're a Revenant Warrior or Guardian player. And we need 2 condition damage dealers as well. So we're running 4 condition damage dealers and 6 Zerkers. No, 5 Zerkers, 4 condition damage dealers, 1 Zealots Druid is our setup. So if you play a Zerker heavy armor or a condition damage dealer, then do get in touch. That's what we're looking for. Even if you don't, get in touch, because there may be a spot open for you in a week or so time if somebody else doesn't work out for us. Because it's all, it's essentially 10 people coming together who've really never raided or even spoken or met before. So it's unlikely that all 10 will work, straight out of the bag. So yeah, as for Group 2, there's no requirements at all for anything. Well, there will be sort of a condition damage requirement aspect to be able to clear the content eventually, but no matter what you play, get in touch if you just fancy joining the more casual oriented group. And we like to say there's a place for everyone in that group, hopefully.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I think in terms of this podcast, there's nothing else we can really say about raids and stuff.
I'm looking forward to it. I think once we have more information about what's there. But right now it's just more of the hype train in a way. I'm really, really excited.
I think hopefully the patch comes out on time on Tuesday and we can start, because our plan at the moment is to raid as soon as the patch is out, as soon as it's released, and hopefully try to see what we can do. So please, ArenaNet, release it on time so we can get in.
Yeah.
Because we're really, really looking forward to it. And that's about it for this episode. Yeah. Unless you guys have anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
We're good. I'm good.
So yeah, a big thank you to everyone who's joined us. We will, for the first time, be doing a post show after this is over if you're watching us live. So do stick around and we'll, try and answer questions and stuff. If you're not watching us live, we are live twitch.tv/GuildMag every Sunday at 8 p.m. GMT /12 p.m.
Yes.
Pacific time. I got it right.
Yes.
And yeah, leave us your comments if you're watching on YouTube or on the guildmag.com website, or if you're listening on iTunes, because we're on there as well. And I guess we'll see you next week, hopefully with some insightful raid discussion. And if not, then we'll try and think of something else to talk about. So yeah, big thank you to everyone who's joined us. And if you're watching this live, we'll see you in a minute, I guess. And if not, we'll see you next week. So bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye. And that's it. Episode